So, not too long ago, tensions in the Middle East boiled over, leading to military action against Iran. And when this all kicked off, the experts, the analysts, they all seemed to agree on one thing. They predicted a conflict that would be swift, contained, and decisive. But what actually unfolded was something else entirely. Today, we're going to break down what the experts predicted, what really happened, and the huge lessons we can learn from this surprising turn of events.
You probably saw this headline everywhere. The thinking was pretty straightforward. Advanced military technology would just completely overwhelm Iran's defenses. It would all be over quickly, and it would totally reshape the political map of the region.
But, as we've seen time and time again, predictions about war rarely survive that first contact with reality. The situation on the ground turned out to be so much more complex and unpredictable than anyone had really bargained for. Okay, let's dive into this. To really get what went wrong, we first have to understand what the experts thought was going to go right. I mean, their predictions were built on a set of pretty logical, well-thought-out ideas about modern warfare. So the strategy, it looked pretty solid on paper, right? First up, a quick military win, all thanks to superior tech. Second, the idea was to keep the conflict surgically contained, avoid that domino effect across a very volatile Middle East. And third, the assumption was that military strikes, combined with sanctions, would create enough pressure inside Iran to weaken the government from within. The end goal? Force some major political change. And the big idea holding all of this together was a concept called controlled escalation. Basically, it's a strategy where you apply just enough force to get what you want, but you do it carefully to keep things from spiraling out of control into a massive regional or even global war. It was the playbook everyone was expecting.
Yeah, that's not what happened. Not even close. That whole carefully built framework of expectations, it pretty much crumbled the second it hit the messy dynamics of a real-world conflict.
So let's look at what actually happened. Instead of a nice controlled scenario, the conflict set off this cascade of consequences that rippled out way, way beyond the initial battlefield, catching a lot of analysts completely by surprise. And wow, the difference between the prediction and the reality is just stark. The war was supposed to be short, it became long and incredibly complex. It was supposed to be contained, instead it ballooned, threatening the whole region's stability. And where everyone expected a weakened Iranian government, what they got was a surprisingly tough resistance and retaliation.
And this wasn't just a miscalculation in the Middle East. The economic shockwaves were felt all over the world. Oil prices, they spiked, which immediately got everyone worried about inflation. Financial markets, which absolutely hate uncertainty, got really volatile. Key shipping routes got disrupted, messing with supply chains for everyone. Even things like international travel and big global events felt the heat.
You can really see it here. The impact was just massive on the global economy and on regional politics. It's a powerful reminder of just how tangled up our world is. What kicks off as a local military action can morph into a global economic and political crisis in a heartbeat.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, this conflict didn't just break predictions. It's forcing us to completely rethink the rulebook for modern war and what its consequences really look like.
The key insight here comes from something that sounds a little academic, but stick with me. It's called complex systems theory. It just means that modern conflicts aren't simple 1 + 1 = 2 events anymore. They're complex systems where one single action, like one missile strike, can trigger a massive, unpredictable chain reaction that ripples through politics, economics, and logistics on a global scale. And if there is one huge, crucial lesson here, it's this. Having the most advanced, most expensive technology is no longer a guarantee of a quick or clean victory. Things like resilience, strategy, and just the sheer unpredictability of our global system can easily cancel out a technological edge. All right, time for a quick lightning round to make sure all that sank in. Let's see what you remember. First one for you. What was the main thing most analysts expected before the conflict even started? Was it A, a long global conflict, or B, a quick and decisive war? Yep, if you said B, you nailed it. The overwhelming consensus was that all that high-tech military gear would lead to a swift and decisive win. Okay, next question. Which of these outcomes was the big surprise for the experts? Was it A, the global economic impact and soaring oil prices, or B, just the fact that military action was used at all? The answer here is A. I mean, everyone knew military action was on the table, but the sheer scale of the global economic fallout, that caught a lot of people completely off guard. And for our last one, true or false, the conflict was successfully contained and stayed limited to just the main countries involved. That one is definitely false. As we saw, the conflict quickly spilled over, impacting neighboring countries, critical shipping lanes, and global energy supplies. It totally defied every single prediction of a contained war. And that really brings us to the heart of it. If there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that those clean, predictable models of how war should go, well, they just don't stand a chance against the messy, unpredictable nature of reality. Which leaves us with one last really crucial question to think about. In a world as deeply interconnected as ours, where our economies, politics, and societies are all tangled together, can any major conflict ever really stay local? Something to consider the next time you see one of those headlines